This week, Captain America Brave New World came out, featuring Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson,
Hey, it's Black Falcon! What's
Just
up,
Falcon, kid.
now playing the role of Captain America. But here's the thing, this really is not a Captain America movie. It's really a sequel to the 2009 Incredible Hulk movie with Falcon wearing Captain America cosplay and just a dash of the X-Men universe thrown in there. It's seriously the weirdest stew of comic book movies thrown into one movie, and it's really just ends up being a big old mess.
What a mess.
So what's the story all about this time? Well, basically, after 3 years, the MCU has decided to address the giant celestial head sticking out of the Indian Ocean back when he almost ripped the planet apart in Eternals. And seriously, what's sticking there should still have had major disruptions to the planet. Well, it turns out that Tiamat is a source of an amazing new element called adamantium, which we all know what that is. Yeah, the MCU finally introducing adamantium means we're probably going to lead into the mutants coming soon, along with the new Wolverine. Well, this new element is so exciting and revolutionary, everyone wants to control it. But President Thaddeus Ross, now played by Harrison Ford, has a plan to create a global treaty for, global use of adamantium. But how does Sam Wilson fit into all this? Basically, he and the new Falcon, Joaquin Torres, intercept an illegal sale of adamantium by the Serpent Society, which is not even close to the way the Serpent Society is portrayed in the Captain America comic books. In this movie, the Serpents are led by Sidewinder, played by an actor who you might think is Giancarlo Esposito.
Hello, my name is Giancarlo Esposito.
Esposito, honestly, I did not know that was his name. Sam engages in some very clunky fighting against the Serpents, recovers adamantium, and gets invited to the White House for carrying off a successful mission and to witness Ross introducing the global treaty. Well, it turns out that Sam gets, to bring a +1, actually a +2. So he brings, new Falcon, Joaquin Torres, and Isaiah Bradley. I imagine casual MCU fans, or those that don't have D plus or don't read comic books, probably are wondering who the hell Isaiah Bradley is. Well, basically, he's Black Captain America. Yeah, he's a character that first introduced in 2003 in the comic books. In the MCU version, he's kind of close to the same character. He was part of a Tuskegee-like experiment, except with super soldier formula instead of syphilis. And for his actions, saving fellow black super soldiers, he was in prison for 30 years. While Ross is delivering his speech, Isaiah and others in the crowd turn out to be Manchurian candidates who are triggered by a song and try to kill the president. Once our mind-controlled pawns are captured, Sam wants to investigate who set up Isaiah, but Ross turns him down and kicks him off of the investigation. It's also here that we meet, what was her name? Ruth Bat Saraf, an Israeli black widow who was trained in the Red Room. Yeah, try to decipher that one. Really not sure how an Israeli agent was trained in the Red Room, but I guess, given current politics, they probably couldn't go with the actual comic version of the character Sabra, a mutant who's basically the Israeli equivalent of Captain America. Sam, of course, investigates, and he and Joaquin find their way to a black site, I think in West Virginia, where they find the leader. Now, the leader is a Hulk villain, so of course, he's the bad guy in a Captain America movie, because that makes sense. He's actually not called the leader here. That's the character. He's called Samuel Stearns, who's played by Tim Blake Nelson, who we last saw in the 2009 Incredible Hulk movie when he got infected by gamma radiation. And, actually, he doesn't look anything like the leader in the comic books at all. I'm guessing this was a creative choice of some sort, but maybe not a really good choice. What has Stearns been doing since he was last seen in an MCU movie? Turns out that Ross captured him, blamed the whole abomination rampage in Harlem on Stearns, locked him away in a black site, and made him develop technology for the military for like almost 20 years. That obviously makes Stern's a little pissed at Ross, so he develops a plan that is basically a revenge plan. He's going to destroy Ross's legacy and make sure that he never reconciles with his daughter, Betty Ross.
So you want to rethink your dumb little plan?
This plan does seem a little stupid and petty for a character that's supposed to be a super genius, but I guess after 2 or 3 reshoots for a movie, this is what you get.
We're stuck with it, Mr. Spock.
Sam actually learns a lot of this from Sidewinder, who was captured earlier in the movie in a completely throwaway combat scene, which only served the purpose of him getting captured so he could fill in plot holes later on. Now, the US and Japan are apparently heading towards a confrontation in the Indian Ocean over control of the giant celestial and adamantium. For some reason, President Ross is there leading the fleet, because sure, that makes sense. Sam arrives and explains everything, what has happened, how the leader's controlling everything. Ross admits that he had been, using Stearns to develop technology, and also because he was dying and he was using medication developed by Stearns to keep him alive. So he had to take this pill 3 times a day.
Tell me none of this smells a little funky, do you?
Yeah, Stearns was sneaking something into those pills there. He also happens to mind control 2 of the U.S. pilots in the fleet, and he gets them to attack the Japanese fleet. So it's up to Sam Wilson in the role of Captain America to fly out with Falcon and stop the U.S. fighters, because that's what Captain America does, fly out on wings. Sam and Joaquin stop the fighters and the fleets get stopped from going to war, but unfortunately Joaquin is critically injured. Sam, of course, feels guilty about this and is looking all sullen in the hospital room, where apparently he's allowed to watch Joaquin being operated on. And that's when future Congressman Bucky Barnes shows up. Yeah, Bucky's running for Congress. Kind of weird. He gives Sam a pep talk about how Sam doesn't need the super soldier formula to be Captain America, which, oh, by the way, he's totally wrong about that, in my opinion. But now I guess Sam realizes that he's worthy to wield the shield. I guess he's worthy now.
I knew it.
This leads to our thrilling climax of the movie, where Ross is giving a speech at the White House about the treaty being signed, and that's when the special ingredient that Stern slipped into his pills kicks in.
Since when were they red?
Yeah, that special ingredient was gamma radiation, and we get the Red Hulk, which is really no surprise since that was spoiled in the first trailer. We then, of course, see Sam facing off against the Red Hulk, and which literally he should have been straight out killed at least 4 or 5 times in this fight. But in the end, Sam uses his true superpower, his empathy, to soothe the savage beast.
Sun's getting real low.
He talks about the cherry blossoms in DC, which reminds Ross of the time when he would take Betty as a young girl to see them, and this calms him down. He dehulks, and then all is right in the world. In the end, Stearns gets imprisoned in the raft. Ross gets imprisoned in the raft. The treaty is signed. Sam decides to reform the Avengers, and
What was that? It was bad. It had nothing.
there are many issues with this mishmash of a movie. First, it hardly feels like it should be on the big screen at all. At best, it feels like, 6 episodes of a mid D plus series. That's at best. The fact is, it was reshot several times. That doesn't help the story. There's no coherent storyline, nothing for the audience to latch onto. And honestly, that's what Captain America movies have done in the past. They've always had a heart and a soul to them, and that heart and soul was Steve Rogers. We learned why Steve Rogers became Captain America. We learned to deal with his struggles being Captain America, being a symbol, where he learned, sometimes who you work for is not who you think. We learned about divided loyalty and consequences for, following authority. We learned about Steve Rogers as a person, as a character. Here, we don't get that. We don't get that with Sam Wilson. We don't know why Sam wields the shield. We knew why Steve had the shield, why he was worthy to wield the shield. We don't see it. We're told Sam's a good man. We remember Steve handing him the shield, but we as an audience don't see why he's really worthy of it. The worst part is I actually like Anthony Mackie as an actor, despite some of the dumb shit he said in the past and recently. I thought he was good as Falcon. I thought he brought a great personality to the role. But here, there's nothing that he does that makes me think he's Captain America. He's just wearing a cap like costume with wings. Marvel treats Captain America as a mantle.
Mantle passed from warrior to warrior.
And this has been said before. Captain America is not a mantle. Captain America is a character, and that character is Steve Rogers, made up of the unique characteristics and personality of Steve Rogers. As I said with Anthony Mackie, I like him as an actor. I didn't think the acting was that bad in the movie. I actually thought Mackie and Ford did pretty well acting off each other. They had a really, decent scene between the two of them and the battleship in the Indian Ocean. They play well off each other, but the story just doesn't live up to their abilities as actors. Another character that doesn't work is Ruth Bat Saraf. First, it's obvious the actress is a very small person. That's because apparently as a child, she had some cancer treatments which stunted her growth. So, I mean, you can't fault her for that. But, you can fault the casting directors for picking a character who is put in an action role where the audience is meant to believe this 5 foot tall woman is beating up 6 foot tall soldiers and she has no superpowers. It just strains, credulity as a character. And you want to talk about waste? Let's talk about Gus Fring. Giancarlo Esposito is a legitimately great actor, and it takes an incredible talent for a director to completely waste the actor's talents. As I said before, his role is basically to fill in storylines. That's probably why he was inserted into the reshoots to try to make all the past storylines fit together. He's tying it all in one messy ball. He's Giancarlo Exposition. That's probably what we should be calling him in this movie. As for the CGI, well, we know that's been a falling off point for Marvel in recent times, some of the recent films. Seems pretty much the same here. Some of the action scenes with the Hulk looked very blurry and smudged. And as for the combat, the action, it was really kind of janky. The hand-to-hand combat was very clunky. It seemed stunted. It's like there were some times where it almost seemed like you could see, Sam pulling punches. And the weird thing, Sam's use of the shield. First off, we know he doesn't have super soldier strength, but he's throwing it as strong, if not stronger, than Steve. And the physics behind the shield this time, they're way more wonky than we've ever seen before.
Thing does not obey the laws of physics at all.
I swear there was a scene where it seemed like the shield was floating in the air for a few seconds while Sam was knocking out 3 or 4 other guys. Now, I know some people are probably going to say, well, now wait 1 minute. The reason Sam could do this is because, his suit is Wakandan. So he's got all that Wakandan strength. Point of order, the suit is not Wakandan. Obviously, the helmet probably is. Well, maybe Wakandan tech. It's not vibranium since Red Hulk pretty easily crushes it. The wings are clearly vibranium. The suit is not. How do you know that? Well, because there's a giant knife slash across the suit in the beginning of the movie. That wouldn't have happened if it's vibranium. Also, the suit never glows purple when it absorbs punches or shots the same way Black Panther suit did in the Black Panther movie. As I record this video, it's Saturday, and the vaunted tomato meter, whatever, has the score, the critic score, being a 51%. 51% from the critics. It's worse so when you look at the top critics. That's 39%. Who are the top critics? Well, that's the AP, that's the Washington Post, that's the New York Times, that's Rolling Stone. Not exactly, the hater type media they think is out there. There's a lot of stuff to nitpick about this movie, but the bottom line is it's just not good. It's just not a well told story. It's incoherent with no real purpose, and it doesn't even address barely the titular character of the story, Captain America, now played by Sam Wilson, played by Anthony Mackie. It's almost like he's just a secondary character in a movie that talks about the Incredible Hulk. characters and other storylines in the MCU. So yeah, this is going to be a tough one for Marvel to pull off, even with the, officially reported $185 million budget. If you believe that, there's a bridge we can sell you in Brooklyn. It's going to be tough for it to recoup its actual money, and this may end up being one of Marvel's biggest bombs next to the Marvels. Anyway, questions, comments, witticisms down below. Click all the good buttons. I'll see you guys next time.